Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Fan Battle Cast, where we debate the matchups y'all got a passion for. We've got an extra special episode today. I, as always, am your host, Santi Sherm. With us today, we have Zorro, someone who I don't really know what he does, but he's here. Say hi.
Hello, I'm Zorro. I'm here to defeat Sherman Death Battle debates.
But not today. That was only the one time. We have Ridley from Metroid.
Would indeed snap Mario's neck to steal his hat.
We have Kino, expert Legend of Zelda fan.
Hey everyone.
We have Fennec, one of the debaters for today. Say hi.
Howdy.
And a very special guest I'm very excited for. We have Josh Scorcher.
Yo.
Who are you, Josh?
Who am I? Who am I? Well, I am Josh Scorcher, aka the Fiery Joker. I made gaming content on YouTube since 2008, and yeah, I've been doing this for a long time. Mostly top tens, and I've been dipping into other kinds of content like streaming, cartoons, and most recently villain songs. And I am actually going. This is my first foray into the versus battles content. So yeah, I've actually been a fan of Death Battle since Vegeta versus Shadow. I'm old guard. I am very much old guard on both YouTube and the versus community. So
Veteran status in more ways than one.
I've been a fan of Josh for a while. It's so cool that we've been able to get him on the show today. And he's actually working on a project that we'll be talking about in a little bit. But first off, we always got our debates. And if we're getting Josh Scorcher on the show, if you know anything about him, there's only one possible character we could be talking about today. Today we have the age-old iconic rivalry of Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII versus Kefka from Final Fantasy VI. But we're not talking about who's the better villain. We're just talking about which one of them's just going to beat the shit out of the other one.
Oh man, I remember my old rant video about this who's the better villain. That just cringe. It's just so much fallacious logic in that video. It was just thinly failed fanboyism. And people thought it was funny at the very least, but it's an old shame of mine.
It got you started.
I vaguely remember it, and I understand the shame.
Consider this a redemption arc.
That's right, surprise. He's actually debating Sephiroth.
Yeah.
Plot twist.
Oh yeah, so Josh, you're going for Sephiroth, right? That's who you're representing today?
I'll kill you.
So we've got a good amount to talk about today, so we're just going to jump right in. Since Final Fantasy VI came first, I think it's appropriate for Kefka to get the first 60 seconds. Let me just pull up the timer real quick. Alright, there you go.
Alright. So this is just I just do my pitch for Kefka, like his background and stuff?
This will be the 60-second portion where you have like 60 seconds uninterrupted to kind of talk about whatever you want. You could explain who Kefka is, or you could just explain why he's gonna win. Whatever you want. As soon as you start talking, that's when the 60 seconds will start.
Alright. So, Kefka Palazzo, one of the few Final Fantasy villains that actually effing succeeded in the thing that he set out to do. He saw what he has very clear philosophical and motivations, and those very much drove what he actually did, which was destroy the world and try to break everyone's spirits. And this guy, he is incredibly powerful. He becomes the god of magic, literally the source of all magic. And I'm pretty sure he beats Sephiroth because he can do pretty much everything any magical creature can do in this series, and he was debated to go up against Emperor Joker, so I feel like that puts him a tier above everyone else, But also Kefka's funnier. Not a mama's boy.
I'm definitely not winning the comedy argument. I
The
can tell you
death
that.
battle cast scaling.
Oh no!
I
not
mean, he's
combat
paired up
scale.
against Loki, so obviously he's out of Versal. That's just he wouldn't be fighting Loki all the time if it wasn't.
Oh yeah, it's there are two very big. Yeah, these are like the big three for Kefka is Kefka versus Loki, Kefka versus Sephiroth, and Kefka versus Marks from Kirby.
Yeah.
One of these is not like the other.
There's
Oh,
some
you
pros
mean-
and cons to all the matchups. I've got a
Oh,
soft spot
yeah.
for this one personally. Fennec, are you ready for your 60 seconds?
I believe so.
All right. Whenever you're ready.
Okay, so Sephiroth, the iconic one-winged angel, is a project, or is the product of the Project S experiment, where he was basically, as in the womb, injected with the cells of Genova in order to try and create the perfect life form. And he was raised as like one of the greatest soldiers of all time. He had like an iconic fall from grace, became a madman with a god complex, and now he wants to conquer the world and has his own motivations. The reason why I think Sephiroth wins this is because both him and Kefka scale to like the same stats and like share like 90% of their abilities, but Sephiroth just has this really broken immortality that just makes him completely unkillable by like anything Kefka can do, and he's just gonna outlast and eventually win.
All right, 5 seconds to spare.
And he's got a cool sword.
He does have a sword. Does Kefka have a sword?
He does, but he doesn't use it.
Oh, yeah. Sephiroth actually uses his sword, so that, I don't know, that might be a pro in his win conditions.
I mean, that argument didn't help you last time, Sherm. So.
Going full fighter on this. I like swords.
Last cast I was in, I was fighting a losing battle. I was fighting the character was definitely losing. My only argument was like they had a sword and the other person doesn't have the best durability. So I was like, they have a sword, so they'll just stab them and that's the fight.
Oh dear.
I did not win that cast.
Sword is better than no sword, obviously.
The logic did not follow through.
I mean, it was a lot closer debate than anyone was expecting, but yeah.
But we're not here to talk about Winter versus Dobby. We're here to talk about Sephiroth versus Kefka. Now, this is a matchup that I'm not even sure the best way to approach it, because I feel like they've both got so much stuff to work with. Like,
Yeah.
I guess to start with, just like, what are their like usual arsenals? Like, what are they working with in terms of killing people?
All right. Well, as Fennec mentioned before, like they're both sort of from the same universe, and I say sort of. It's very dubious. Like, and
Multiversal shenanigans.
yeah, it's like, and the connection between the universes, like, it's very dubious. Like, the big thing, the most cited connection between the universes is via Gilgamesh, and I mean, if you buy that, it's I personally don't. I think that's a little silly.
Gilgamesh always confused me in 6 because isn't he
I
like an
I have a
Esper
whole
in that
thing.
game?
I have a whole thing for Gilgamesh because he is a
Yeah.
big scaling argument.
All right. Well, I feel like that's relevant now. What's the Gilgamesh scaling for Sephiroth?
Gilgamesh is a recurring boss in like almost all of the Final Fantasy games, and like the whole thing with him is that despite Final Fantasy having this big multiverse and like infinite timelines and infinite possibilities, it's stated multiple times that Gilgamesh is always the same guy. He is like a traveler of all these different verses, and you know this is important because it means that he's like the main way you can chain scale all the games to each other through his boss fights. Gilgamesh is stronger than like Eggsdeath, who in his boss fight was like threatening to destroy all dimensions, which is like probably the most blatant multiversal feat in Final Fantasy. And there's higher arguments to make, but the point is that like the protagonist of both 6 and 7 have ways of scaling to Gilgamesh, which like basically makes this an even stats debate.
So is that the general idea? They've both got more or less the same speed and strength?
Pretty much, yeah. They should both be in the multi-immeasurable range. And like if you argue higher dimensional stuff, like they both get it. So like stats is really not much of a factor here.
But that's not fun.
I mean, you know, it is one of the beautiful things about Final Fantasy is the fact that most of the time each of these things are in their own world. But unfortunately, Greg over here makes everything secretly the same stats.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't want to do equal stats, I feel like Sephiroth would win even harder because like his feats of like nuking the planet and like blowing up the solar system, he definitely has the more impressive stuff in his own game.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Are you sure about that?
Oh.
Nope.
Oh,
Josh, prove us wrong.
Oh,
What you got for Kefka, Josh?
Well, I'm gonna start that. I don't know. Should I start off small and work my way up?
sure.
That makes sense to me.
All right. Well, to start off, Kefka is multiversal without scaling.
What?
Ooh.
Oh. How's that work?
All right. Well, if you could pull up the scans for the scan Esper World 2. Yes. Okay, so that right there is the gate to the Esper World. Now, what the Espers are is basically they are like, you know, the Ramu, Ifrit, Shiva, all those in the Final Fantasy VI universe, they are Espers, which are kind of humanoid creatures with a whole bunch of magic. And not necessarily humanoid, there's also like non-humanoid ones. But they're the sort, they are the, not necessarily the source of all magic, they have a lot of magic in them. And if you could pull up War of the Magi's 1 and 2 next. So, War of the Magi. This is a war in Final Fantasy VI's past that took place long ago. Espers fought humans who were infused with magical power extracted from the Espers. So this whole war was fought and moved to the next one. And in order to stop the war from happening, the Espers had to leave. They basically created this whole new universe. That they had to create they created this whole new universe in order to not in order so that peace would be maintained.
We've all been there. We've all done that.
Yeah, unfortunately, as Final Fantasy VII's plot has shown, it didn't work very well. They had to get there somewhere, and unfortunately, they couldn't exactly destroy the bridge, so to speak. And so those are the Espers. The source of the Espers magic is 3 entities called the Warring Triad. Let me try and where's that scan? Bring up a Warring Triad 1 and 2, please. So the Warring Triad are basically 3 deities who have willingly encased themselves in stone. They were originally part of this whole War of the Magi, and they fought each other, but they realized, oh shoot, we can't keep fighting, otherwise everything's just going to blow up. And so they willingly turn themselves into stone in balance of each other so that everything doesn't blow up. And these 3 are the source of all magic in Final Fantasy VI, in the Final Fantasy VI universe. So this magic went to the Espers, and the Espers themselves created this alternate universe. And so yeah, Warring Triad 2 is what they look like unstatuized.
Looks like the God Hen from Berserk a little bit. At least in
Now that you pointed it out, now that you mention it.
I only remember these guys because of the 14 bosses.
Oh yeah, big boss rush. So,
I
what
just have to
happened-
say, Final Fantasy VI might have the best art of like the pixel era Final Fantasy games. Like this just looks so cool.
Oh no! Oh yeah, it's a. I don't know. Yeah, it does look great, but in terms of like the actual drawings themselves, I think Final Fantasy IV has it.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah, Final Fantasy IV is just pretty. It really is.
Need to get back into playing for.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
the
also
logic is the Espers.
Yeah, the Espers created the Esper world, and these guys are the source of that magic. So the Espers were able to do that without all of that, without fully utilizing the magic from these guys. And if you can pull up Kefka Power 3. Kefka drained the statue's power, the source of magic. This is after you defeat all three of the warring triad in Kefka's tower. Basically, he stole all of their magic, and so he has access to literally everything magic related. He has their power. He has the power of the warring triad. He has the power of all the Espers. He is magic. At this point, he just puppeteered their corpses to fight you for the funsies.
Yeah.
I just want to bring up the Warring Triad 2 again real quick. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 guys here.
Oh, 3. Oh,
3. Yeah, 3 guys here. So it's the logic that each of these individually should be more powerful than all the Espers combined. So
yes.
all these guys should be universal, and Kefka having all their power essentially makes him, at a bare minimum, 4 times universal power. Is that kind of where we're at? Okay, okay.
All right.
I'm trying to argue this just from stuff in the game because personally, from my point of view, I feel like that makes this more fun.
I have some stuff
That's
too
fair.
to bring up,
All
and
right.
I specifically wanted to cover something that Dario brought up in the chat, where he goes, "I find it hard to make these arguments when the plot of 7 was summoning a meteor in order to damage the planet."
Yeah, why
This
didn't...
is a very common point brought up against 7 scaling. Why did Sephiroth need to use a meteor if he's like in the multi-range?
Why didn't he just pull an Asura's Wrath
Because
and
he's
slice the Earth in half?
Because he's a dramatic little fop, obviously.
Well, to TDLR it, Sephiroth needs the Black Mantra to summon Meteor, not because he couldn't Planet Bust. He needed it because, in spite of all of his power, the ultimate destructive spell is the only method he has to break through the defenses the planet has and overwhelm the Lifestream. The Lifestream is a multiverse to cause a wound. So basically, there was like a multiversal shield around the planet that Sephiroth needed the Meteor spell in order to break through and wound it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so this would match Kefka's arguments because, yes, Sephiroth being able to wound the Lifestream would make him also in the uni-multi-range. I did not, unfortunately, bring scans of this because, as I mentioned, they kind of scaled at the same stuff, so I didn't really think I needed that many scans for the stats. But, yeah, pretty much. I do think that you just using 7, you can argue some high-scale stuff for Sephiroth.
Okay. I've never thought about the Lifestream itself essentially buffing the planet, but I guess that would kind of make sense.
The Lifestream is very, very important to my overall argument here. And
this might be getting a little bit too much in the weeds here, but isn't the idea that the Mako generators were, like, sucking up all the life energy? Like, but can they do that if the Lifestream's infinite? This might be too in the weeds, but I'm just trying to figure out how strong the Lifestream that Sephiroth is breaking is.
It's very strong.
Oh, okay, very strong. There we go.
It's basically a higher transcendent dimension, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay. All right. Because it's also like the afterlife. Lifestream's weird.
Lifestream is like it's a very big, Final Fantasy VII is just one big giant green metaphor. So
Yeah.
and it's not a bad one. It's a really great story. It's just like it's just sometimes the symbolism it's a little on the nose, but it's a good looking nose.
I remember thinking Final Fantasy VII was overrated like 3-ish years ago, and then I played it and I was like, damn it, it's actually pretty good.
I'm a weirdo who it is like I began the series through like the remake trilogy, and then I went back into OG7, and then after a bit I'm just like, I am just not gelling with this game.
Yeah, fair enough.
And now it's like I'm going through my backlog and 7 reboots on there.
No, yeah, you need to play Final Fantasy VII the way it was intended on an old LCD screen, because on an old TV, because otherwise the art style is just not gonna do it for you.
There was a part of me when it's like we were looking at the sprite art, and I was just imagining like Sephiroth's overworld model next to it, and I'm just thinking the price we needed to go.
Because the thing is, it's like the devs for these games, they were smart. Okay, what the thing that they did was because like old TVs generate images on the screen very, very differently. There's a little bit of smearing, and the way they designed these sprites and these models and the background art in both 6 and 7 were taken into account. So it actually looks better on an old TV than like a 4K monitor.
I can attest to this. There's certain games that if you play them on a CRT, even though it's a sprite, it looks like a 3D model when you're like playing it.
Yeah.
I didn't know that actually.
I think one of the best examples that everyone's familiar with is Super Mario RPG.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Yeah.
Like those are all sprites. You can kind of tell on like re-releases and like emulators and stuff. But if you were to play it back when it came out, you think they're 3D models.
Speaking of 3D, the universe is 3D, and the Lifestream is a universe. So is the logic we're kind of working with here that like Kefka is like a couple times universal and Sephiroth is universal from breaking the Lifestream? Is that kind of where we're at right now in terms of just raw power?
Technically, the Lifestream is like a multiverse.
How many universes is the Lifestream then?
I have to find I have like multiple tabs pulled up of this. Hang on.
I believe in you.
This is the great thing about Final Fantasy VI. It's just one game. While you're doing that, it's just I did an alignment video with the loading crew about what Kefka's alignment one.
Spoiler I remember that. That was a good one.
Yeah, spoiler alert, he's chaotic evil.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I think there's arguments for chaotic good if you script really, really hard while drunk.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem that bad.
But the thing is, it's just like with Final Fantasy VI, there's only one effing game, and with Final Fantasy VII, there's many, and that really, really irritated Stuart, the loading crew, because everything is told out of order, and there's like illusions, fake memories, like you're not sure what's true and what's not true, what's Sephiroth just glazing himself, and it's
yeah, I do not believe that Sephiroth is glazing. There was a lot of backing to like what he means when he says this stuff normally.
Oh no, I wasn't talking about his feats. I was just talking about how cool. Often he talks about how cool he is.
Sephiroth feels like a guy who would boast that he's universal despite not having any idea what it is outside of being stupid strong.
He is despair incarnate. He is a platonic concept of despair and will always exist. Someone in the chat asked if the Warring Triad had drained themselves before sealing themselves. Do you know anything about that? Like, were they weaker when Kefka got their power?
No, I don't think there's really any evidence for that.
I would say that doesn't really make too much sense with how it is. It's like, why would they seal themselves if they could already store away a good chunk of their power?
I mean, I can answer this because I played 6 not too long ago. And the answer is no, they're at full power when they're sealed. And basically, if Kefka had then drained them after, he wouldn't have their full power.
Okay.
Also, another thing to bring up here for the fight is during their actual boss battles, I think it would also be relevant to pull up, like how RPG bosses have a lot of really BS and unfair status resistances and
Yeah.
condition resistances and stuff.
If
So
you
I
want to
think
get to it, I have a lot for that.
so yeah, it's I have a lot. I have a lot too, and just a lot of them are just really.
Well, it seems like the AP difference might be a little nebulous. What's the OP attacks Kefra's got? Kefka's got to work with.
Well, if he's multiversal, okay, power scale, not just the power level. He has access to, well, at the time, what was probably the most powerful spell in Final Fantasy. It's like nowadays it's Zeta Flare, which can be cast by Donald Duck.
I love Kingdom Hearts.
I love it too, but there are some times that I'm just like,
I want to make an image thing of it. It's just like, anyway, here are the three people who've used the most powerful spell in Final Fantasy. Here's your dragon, here's your evil fairy creature, and here's Donald Duck.
Kingdom Hearts knows what it is and runs with it.
yeah, it's like in one way I respect it for that, but then there are some people. There are some times where it asks me to take it seriously. I'm like, I feel like we crossed that bridge after. We crossed that bridge in Birth by Sleep. Like I was on board. I was on board for Kingdom Hearts 2, but then once Birth by Sleep hit, I'm like, okay, I'm not entirely sure I should be taking this as seriously. But
yeah.
anyway, but Kefka does have access to Ultima in his fight.
Okay.
He has access to Ultima, and he also has access to Heartless Angel before Sephiroth. Yeah.
So, I guess I'm just trying to figure out who's like more powerful based on the arguments. I've excised all previous knowledge.
If you want to get technical, Kefka has better arguments for upscaling because he should be stronger than all the espers. So technically, even if we put them at like even scaling, Kefka would be slightly stronger.
All right. Does Sephiroth have any way to like close the power gap if that's the case?
Well, he has a way to just not care about the power gap.
Why?
Let me talk about his immortality for a moment. Sephiroth, as I mentioned the live stream before, why this is important is because Sephiroth's existence is fused into the live stream, and he can just come back by recreating his soul and body.
Mm-hmm.
And,
all right.
Being tied to the live stream just makes him insanely unkillable. This is like a higher dimensional space that he can just like reside in and come back in, and basically the live stream embodies like concepts. There is conceptual stuff here. It embodies like life, emotions, and probably the most important thing, memories. Sephiroth can basically use the memories of people as like Horcruxes in order to come back, which means that if Kefka wants to kill Sephiroth, he has to kill every single person who remembers Sephiroth. This would include Cloud, by the way. And I don't think he's gonna be able to do that.
Yeah, and that's kind of the weird thing about both characters. It's this is kind of a complaint that I have about both Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy VI. And this is another one of the weird connections between both characters. It's just, wait a minute, they're this powerful. How did they effing die?
I have an answer to that, funny enough.
Yeah, I have an answer for it too. I mean, I feel like mine's a little weaker.
Cloud is an awakened user of spiritual energy, and I didn't even mention spiritual energy much, but spiritual energy gives you a ton. It gives you Type 1 conceptual manipulation, resistance negation, regeneration negation up to high godly, information negation, types 2 through 9 immortality negation, and ecology negation. So in case you're wondering why Sephiroth ever loses, it's because Cloud has like the perfect abilities to just counter him.
So, a question. Did
Mm-hmm.
Cloud just get these various resistance negations because he killed Sephiroth, he died, and we as power scalers just have to explain that?
Well, he's also he's an awakened user of spiritual energy, which there's like a whole ranking system of how spiritual energy works, and he's like second to the life stream itself, which gives him access to this level of like power.
So I have a question. The live stream, it's not magic itself, is it?
It's the source of magic. It
Okay.
also contains the essence of the planet, of all people's memories, of all people's emotions, and it's the source of like everything.
All right.
So I have a question, but Zoro can go first.
All right. I was just asking for like for the debate set, since we've established that Sephiroth kind of is connected to the life stream, the source of all magic, but then Kefka, if we're taking him at his base, has absorbed the source of his magic. So are we in like a neutral zone where both have access to their world sources of magic, or?
Well, Kefka is the source of magic at this point, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess so. I was just wondering how translatable they were into each other, and if there was weird ways they could interact with each other's magic sources.
My big
Well,
question
they share,
is...
I'm not
like,
entirely
90
sure they could.
No. 'cause
My
the thing
question
like,
is, if Sephiroth's regeneration is based on the life stream, and Sephiroth was about to destroy the life stream in his game with just a really big rock, could Kefka just destroy the planet and get rid of the life stream that way if he's stronger than Sephiroth?
Well, as I mentioned before, it wasn't just a big rock. It was him. He had to break the life stream first, and then use the big rock to like actually try to hit the planet once. It's like imagine the planet had like a multiversal force field around that, and like Sephiroth had to like break that and then hit it. If that makes sense.
It
How
really
did he break
doesn't.
the
but-
live stream first.
If he could break the multiversal force just by himself, then why did he need the meteor to destroy the planet?
Well, that's what Meteor is the only spell that could bypass that force field.
So he didn't break it. He just needed the big rock to do it in the first place.
It was like the only spell capable of breaking through it and actually hitting the planet.
Why is the big rock capable of destroying the multiversal force field?
Because this is a fantasy game.
Isn't it made out of like black materia, or is black materia the thing to summon the giant rock?
Yeah, he needed black mantra or like black materia. Yeah.
Mantra, getting also his wrath here.
I feel... I'm just trying to dig into this, because if this is the source of his regeneration, the nitty-gritty is very important.
Well,
Damn
it's like the life stream is like also protecting the planet because it made the planet, it made everything, and he had to like bypass the defense. He's still infused into the life stream.
Josh, I hope you're liking this live stream of a bunch of nerds trying to understand how the heck Final Fantasy VII power scaling works.
Wait, so is the plot of Final Fantasy is just Sephiroth trying to commit suicide?
Not necessarily.
We don't actually even know his current goal. In, like,
Well,
the first
well,
Final
actually, we
Fantasy
do.
game.
Final Fantasy VII Advent Children.
Oh,
It's,
yes.
My goal, Cloud, is to sail the cosmos with this planet as my vessel. We'll find a new world where we will build a shining future. So basically, it's he wants to base.
He
it's
wants
like
to lead
justice by
his
knowledge.
followers to the promised land.
Yeah,
Which is why this is our Easter episode.
Josh looking at us like a disappointed father.
Oh, someone turned that face into an emote.
Man, I really got Zoro with that one.
I literally fasted yesterday for Good Friday, and that was less painful.
Happy Easter, everybody.
Happy Easter, everybody. So, they got similar levels of strength, Sephiroth has OP regeneration that is. Does Kefka have an answer to regeneration? I guess that's the question of the stream.
Oh, I didn't even mention his other. I only mentioned like the memory thing. Sephiroth also has Genova cells, which give him a crazy healing factor even without like the life stream. And it's like the thing where like you have to target the individual cells and destroy it one by one completely in order to actually kill him.
Well, if he's similar to the thing, Kefka's very good at setting people on fire. We know that, so I don't know if that's the best defense.
Light of Judgment. Light of Judgment is fun.
He has supernova. He does not care about fire.
Have you seen Sephiroth getting hit by supernova?
Okay, so it's actually a running gag in the Final Fantasy community. Like, there's this guy, he's a good friend of mine, Roth, and it's kind of a meme where it's like, you know, the place where he was walking through the flames of Nibelheim? That means he's immune to fire.
I guess that is what that means.
It's just a running gag that that Sephiroth is immune to fire. Whenever we created animations together where Kefka throws a fireball at Sephiroth, he's just like, "I'm immune to fire, you fool!" And just Kefka's like, "Oh wait, that's Kevin."
I know. I am curious to hear about like we're going through with a lot of esoteric stuff, but like in terms of like when they're actually beating the crap out of each other, what are the abilities using?
Like 99% of the same stuff because they both have spiritual energy.
They both have spiritual energy. I feel I would like to make the argument that Kefka has a wider arsenal.
Wait,
I do agree with that because he does have all the spells.
Isn't spiritual energy the thing Cloud used to kill Sephiroth?
Yes, but...
Well, then there we go. Kefka can kill Sephiroth.
Well, no, because Cloud is an awakened user of spiritual energy.
What does awakened user mean?
What does that mean?
There's, as I mentioned before, the, like, ranks of spiritual energy. You have... I can just get the list right here. There's
what rank is higher than God?
There's spiritual essence, there's intermediate, there's basic,
Are you calling Kefka basic?
No, I did not.
Basic bitch.
I did not say.
I think my question is, I get that he's the top of the tier system, but I don't understand what this tier system means.
Like, how much training, how much like specification has to go on through?
I can try.
Yeah, just like how did he ascend to this certification, shall we say?
I guess like why? So Kefka and Cloud are using some similar power source, and Cloud became an awakened user via some series of events.
There are only a few awakened users of of spiritual energy. There's Cloud, there's Vincent Valentine, there's Whis, and then there's Sephiroth, and then there's Nero. Kefka is not in that list, if you didn't notice. So
How many other characters not from Final Fantasy VII are in that list, though?
Yeah, there's only 5 guys who have access to this.
So Kefka's not a user of spiritual energy.
He is. He's not an awakened user.
Well, how do you become...
What's the difference?
It's just...
What has Cloud done to become awakened?
I'm just imagining Cloud taking an exam.
They go to like the live stream and I don't know, man, RPG level ups.
All right, age-old question: what level is Kefka?
Kefka is well. This is actually not going to be super impressive. He's level 71.
I don't have a better explanation other than he just has this. Okay, like
because
like you're really hoping that we were not gonna ask follow-up questions to you.
But that's the unfortunate thing about these sorts of debates is the dubiousness of some of these feats and certifications. Like, and spoiler warning for Starfire versus Blaze. Well, not really spoiler warning, but in the results section, you know, towards the end where they actually compare everything, in both of their blocks, both Blaze and Starfire's blocks, I have an equal sign for several dubious feats.
Okay, I found the thing for Cloud. He the reason he gets to this level is because he projected himself into the life stream, which
What does that mean?
He put his own spirit into the higher dimension of like everything,
Okay.
which by all accounts should be impossible. He just has magic on that level to like ascend to that higher dimension and be on par with like Sephiroth and them.
All right. So there is the life stream in the planet.
It's everywhere. It's like the Force in Star Wars. It's just the responsible for everything.
There is a you know, like a physical part that the Mako reactors actually harness.
Is this where the debate was supposed to go? Because I'm not sure if we're actually this is how it's supposed to be going down, but that's how it's going right now.
I was expecting a hack nonsense debate from the start. You know. Like...
That's the thing. Well, that's the thing. It's this is where the nitty gritty. We got to get it into the nitty gritty because I wanted this to be more fun. I didn't want to just say, "Oh, they're just stats equalize." It's like that's not fun. This is fun.
All right. Yeah. Well, we did bring up Blaze versus Starfire, so I think now's actually a great time to take a little break and talk a little bit about that. Josh, you're working on a thing.
Yes, I am working on a thing. Starfire versus Blaze. This is sort of it started out as just going to be a fan-made death battle, but it kind of escalated. So we now have our own show name, Fiery Fan Fights, aka Triple F, and Starfire versus Blaze. This has been one of my most wanted matchups for a while because fire is a big part of my motif and identity online, but also I really do love these characters. Like Starfire, for one, she is such a wholesome being. Like not just in the regular Teen Titans, like the Teen Titans Cartoon Network show, but just showing her backstory to people. Like people didn't know how dark her backstory was, and I feel like also when I put it on Twitter, I feel like I accidentally created a ship when I said that her sister Blackfire was a Dio level hater. And then people start shipping the two. I'm like, what have I done?
That's hilarious.
Yeah, but it's just and what makes Starfire as a character just so inspirational to me is that she has every reason to be filled with hate and anger, just want to turn that outward, to just want to hurt others. She has every reason to. This is a supervillain origin story, but she's not. She is a good person at heart. She just, like, look at that stuff right now. She was SA'd in the comics by her own sister. It's rough, but she took all of that pain and she's like, you know what? No, I'm going to make sure no one suffers the way I did. I'm going to be a good person. I'm going to help people. I'm not going to hurt anybody, which is why I really, really effing hate New 52.
Yeah, I don't know if they could have put all this backstory in the cartoon.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they sanitized it in the cartoon, but it was still pretty rough.
Yeah.
And for the Starfire, I'm very interested to see what's going to happen with the new Starfire TV show. Because just judging from the previews, I'm not entirely sure that they're going with her classic backstory here. I really hope they do, because that's what Starfire means to me. Just someone who went through hell and wants to make sure that no one else goes through it.
Something that I was a little confused about when I was watching your preview was that apparently the torture combined all was like 16 years. But she was already looked like she was at least 8 at the worst when she was. How old is she when she gets to Earth? Is there weird time dilation stuff going on, or is she in her early 20s already?
We have no effing idea.
All right, it's space years.
Good old comic books.
Here's the thing. There's one thing that we do know, and that's Tamaranian years and Earth years are not the same. We know what her years are in Tamaranian years. We just don't know what they are in Earth years. And how I'm kind of justifying this is that when she was referencing these events, we don't actually know if she was referencing these events using Earth years or Tamaranian years. So it could have been different. So she could have been using Earth years for one and Tamaranian years for another. That's how I choose to look at it.
That makes sense.
That's my kind of headcanon fix.
That makes sense. Something I wanted to touch on with all these previews you've been putting out. You're not the first person to try to do something similar to Death Battle. There's been other shows like the infamous Animation Rewind. There was Smash Bracket for a while. Even our good friends, Noah is doing his fan battle show and Saul's doing his Doomsday Duel. But like, are y'all seeing the editing right now? This is just like straight up a death battle. This isn't like... This is genuinely, quality-wise, probably the best fan-made death battle I've ever seen. And it's genuinely, from my perspective, literally just as good.
Thank you.
Like, because I know a lot of people will kind of see a versus show. They'll be like, oh, I'm a fan of death battle, but, you know, I'm not going to try to watch every single versus show I see. But this is just basically more death battle. Like, the quality is like the editing's on point as the recent stuff. Yeah. And the fights also look sweet.
Yeah, thank you. You can thank Jukum for that. He is the understudy of the great DJ Tiki himself. We got both of them. We got both of them to help out with this fight.
Ooh,
so we actually did get a few. We've actually gotten a few death battle animators to help with this fight as well. It's like we got Origin on board. It's like he helped a lot.
Nice. Yeah, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you like Death Battle, watch it. It's just more Death Battle.
Yeah.
We all like Death Battle. We're sad that's only once a month now. Here's some more.
Mine's going to be once a year.
You know, fair enough.
Because I'm trying not to kill myself or just bleed myself dry.
Understandable.
Absolutely understandable. I am fine enough with here's a little extra
animation is expensive. Yeah, this was expensive. Even with my very successful crowdfund, we had to be very careful with how we spent our money.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then there's Blaze, who is she is the it's like this is something that Blaze and Starfire share. They are the most shafted characters in their respective universes.
Imagine having a game and how that derails you so hard.
Yeah, Starfire gets absolutely shafted because that for one, they don't know how to write her, and also she loses like almost every single fight she's a part of, which is so stupid. And same thing with Blaze. The whole thing with Sonic 06, like she was basically a sacrificial pawn to try and prop up Silver, and that didn't work out.
Yeah.
And it's like the whole thing with her origins just got completely muddied with Sonic 06. And so people have just... It's like I did my best to try and construct a backstory here, but it's rough. It is rough.
You did a good job, though. You made it seem very intentionally written.
Yeah. I tried my best. It's like the pieces are there. It's just like Blaze is just such a fascinating character. She is literally alternate universe Sonic. Like, they are perfect opposites in every way. There are so many cool things that you could do with this character, and they just don't.
Yeah.
I know that it's partially nostalgia talking from my head because Sonic Rush was one of my first major Sonic games, but I've always just felt that of all Sonic rivals, Blaze just kind of fits really well, borderline the best.
Yeah.
Someone asked in the chat, "Are you using Archie Blaze for this?" I assume not, but
no, not using Archie Blaze. Because it's just, long story short, it makes the fight less interesting.
Is that canon right there, the glitch feat? Are you calculating the speed for escaping the game? Okay.
Glitch scaling, that's a new one.
Yeah, it's just I know you can see some Archie panels in the preview, but we aren't taking those feats into account. But the thing is, some of those panels illustrate some of the things I do talk about. So I do use them, but I make it clear. I'm going to make it clear at the beginning of the fight, no, we're not using Archie Blaze. This is just
Okay.
this just very well visually illustrates what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Fair.
But everyone within the sound of my voice, please. We all like Death Battle. I don't think anyone's watching this show that doesn't like Death Battle. And if it is,
If
I'd
you
like to
are,
meet you and have a conversation with you.
Yeah, it's like, I'd be
Yeah.
very surprised.
I mean, if
But
you
yeah.
are, how did you get here?
How did
Please
you get here?
watch this show. It looks like it's gonna be so cool, and
Yeah.
it needs to succeed because this is a really cool just work of passion. And like, look at this. I'm real excited for when this comes out. When does it come out, Josh?
Next week.
Woo!
Yeah, next Saturday. It's Be There or Be Square.
That's around my birthday time.
And what for people who want to catch it? What time?
People want to catch it at what time? I believe it's gonna be at noon. So it's at noon MST, noon or 1 MST. I'm still checking my metrics to see what's the optimal time to upload it.
Fair.
All right. Now that we've talked about that, we've let the thoughts cook for a little bit, so we can try to. I don't know if we've come to a conclusion about whether Kefka's awakened or not. I guess he's not because you have to astral project into the live stream to become.
Let me. I haven't brought up a single scan. I realized so far. So let me bring up something to show like just how deep the live stream is. Can we bring up live stream abilities?
Live stream ability. You have live stream fusion. Is that what you were talking about?
No, the one just called ability. The wiki page.
Oh, I missed this. I'll pull this up real quick. Just start describing it.
This is like showing what beings who are awakened like have access to because of their ability to put their spirits in the live stream. They have a casuality, an abstract existence, beyond dimensional existence, and this is just like why Kefka really cannot do anything to Sephiroth's immortality. Not only would he have to kill everyone who remembers Sephiroth, he would have to kill like the spirits of them too. And certain individuals like Cloud have their spirits able to exist in these higher dimensional areas of the life stream. Which
Kefka's not beyond genocide. Like I feel like that's within his playbook.
He can kill people, but how is he going to kill something in a higher dimension that he doesn't have access to?
So I was actually going to ask a question because the thought goes on through. Like, Kefka got his power by draining the Warring Triad of their energy. Can he theoretically do that to Sephiroth to connect to the live stream?
No, because Sephiroth should resist that.
He resists
power drain. And, yeah.
Well, what... I feel like Kefka power draining like the source of magic is very impressive. Like, do we know why Sephiroth was able to resist the absorption?
Because he can resist similar stuff from people who aren't awakened, and then the awakened spiritual users are able to.
So in his boss fight, you can't like drain MP from him because I know you can do that in Final Fantasy.
No, you can, but like that's because the reason Cloud and them are able to win in the first place is because of their awakened spiritual energy.
But I thought you said only Cloud and Vincent were awakened.
Yeah.
Why is Red 13 able to do that then?
Or Tifa or Barrett. So like if they're the only ones that can actually, it's like if Cloud and Vincent are the only ones that can kill Sephiroth, then why are the rest of them there?
I don't know if that's the true for. Let me find this.
Isn't one of those things where it's like gameplay versus story? Like you could technically beat it without Cloud or Vincent, but the lore has to be Cloud and Vincent were there no matter what, even if they're not actually part of the fight in your final boss encounter.
Vincent getting all these stats, and it's the version of the game where you never.
I think it's because. Well, as I've mentioned, Sephiroth he can exist in like the life stream, and like if you kill him, he can just make a new body and a new soul. So like even if you want to argue that like Kefka can deal with, it's like a true form in its avatar situation. Let me put it like that. Sephiroth is existing in like a higher dimension, and he's like putting down these like avatar bodies, and that's what you actually fight in the game.
I feel like we're kind of harping on this point, but this point kind of is like the crux of the debate. Like, can Kefka kill Sephiroth?
How Sephiroth loses is because Cloud projects himself into the Lifestream and like ascends to the higher dimension, and then he fights Sephiroth like his soul, his true form there, and then he uses the awakened spiritual energy, and that's how he beats him.
Well,
and that
here's
still hasn't worked because Sephiroth is technically still alive. He's survived this, but that's like how he loses in the games.
Well, here's the thing: is that this isn't the first time that Kefka has stolen ultimate power. It's like Kefka may look like a fop. The guy's as sharp as a tack. Like, if you could pull up Kefka intelligences 1 and 2, please. So with Kefka, he was very calculated about this. He notices things. He can work things out, and it's like he's done a lot of creative gaming. People underestimate him just because he's angry, dressed like a clown, and just stomps around. But he very successfully initiated a fake surrender gambit. He's very good at telling when people are lying to him. If you could bring up number 2. So yes, it's like while Kefka himself is very bad at making. I would say he himself is not a great liar because he himself has he's got a bit of a temper, but he can cut through BS. He's very good at cutting through BS, and he notices. So if Sephiroth could figure out how to merge with the Lifestream just by falling into it, I'm not entirely sure Kefka figuring out how that works is beyond him.
I'm a little confused on this argument. I get what you're saying, that like Kefka's really smart, but for one, Sephiroth also is he's like an experienced soldier with like a ton of experience. So I doubt he's gonna get like tricked here. And even if
it's not necessarily a thing about Sephiroth being tricked. It's about Kefka figuring out how the Lifestream works.
Okay, if he did that, what would he do?
Something to consider. In order for Sephiroth's regeneration to work, that it supposes that there are people in the same universe as Sephiroth who knows who Sephiroth is.
Yeah.
So the fight has to take place in a location where people know who Sephiroth is for Sephiroth's powers to work. Well, does Kefka have any way to just snatch someone up and read their mind or something?
Well, that's not. If someone remembers him, that he can use that to remain in the world. He is tied to the Lifestream, which the Lifestream is tied to everyone's memories. So every person in that remembers Sephiroth and the whole Final Fantasy multiverse, he is tied to their memories, and in order to fully kill Sephiroth, you would have to get rid of those memories. So I think it's important to reaffirm this is including Cloud. So I guess Kefka will go and find Cloud mid-fight and then defeat him. He's not winning that fight. I'm just here to tell you that he's going to. And yeah, there's really no reason Kefka would, even as smart as he is, Kefka does not have access to the Lifestream at all. He can absorb all magic, yes. The Lifestream is all magic and more so. It is the source of emotions and concepts in the Final Fantasy verse.
Well, yeah, I do understand that, but why can't Kefka figure it out? It's if Sephiroth could if Sephiroth could figure it out. I mean, it took him a while. He fell into the Lifestream, and how long was he in the Lifestream before he fully
it said that I'm pretty sure it was it was a crazy amount of time. It was because the Lifestream itself is beyond time, and I think it's it's like he like experienced like all possibilities to ever exist. He got like Gojo Infinitied, where like he experienced all information as like an overload into his mind.
So
what's stopping Kefka from doing that?
Because, well, one, they're fighting.
Sephiroth was fighting when he fell in.
Yeah, but like, how? Okay, you have to ask for Kefka to figure out this higher dimensional space while Sephiroth is actively fighting him with a sword and like blowing him up.
Well, Kefka was literally stabbed through the chest when and there was a whole big thing there when he was when he achieved ultimate power, and he managed to use that being stabbed in the chest to carefully maneuver into the center of a warring triad so that Gestalt couldn't do anything while he absorbed the power.
It's still a little dubious to assume that Kefka could multitask and figure out something that's above whatever he's never dealt with, like a dimension like the Lifestream before.
He does become God, and you said that the Lifestream is like literally everywhere in the universe. Does he have any kind of like godly awareness that as soon as he enters whatever verse we're putting them in where the Lifestream exists, would he be like, oh, there's this weird green stuff that I'm now aware of? What's up with this? Would he like be able to figure that out at all?
I don't think so, because like he absorbs all magic, but like as I've said, the Lifestream is just the origin of magic and everything else. It's like it's more than what Kefka's ever dealt with.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Keenan. Do you want to go first?
I want to, because we have been talking about the live stream quite a bit, and I just want to kind of know, like, I know they share as final bosses. Obviously, they share quite a few abilities, and in terms of like their spells and stuff. But like, what I do kind of want to like know like what they have that is different from each other in terms of that arsenal.
Well, technically, Sephiroth is also an awakened spirit user, as well as Cloud. Which means he could do what Cloud did to him, to Kefka, and just erase him from existence and, like, completely kill him that way.
If he's strong enough to kill him.
Well, this is magic and hacks, so, like, they should be even in strength regardless, but, like, even if he wasn't, Kefka's never, like, resisted hacks like this.
I will say, I do think Kefka can resist that in his final fight.
Yeah, it's in his stats. If you could bring up Kefka resistances 1.
He's never resisted hacks on the scale of the Lifestream before, though. This is like above that.
Yeah, he's immune to darkness, zombie, poison, magitech, invisible, imp, petrify, instant death, doom, critical, attack, confuse, berserk, sap, sleep, slow, stop, haste, shell, protect, reflect, meteor strike, libra, and fractional damage. So
Okay.
instant death effects, I feel like.
Well, this isn't death hacks. This is concept manipulation. This is being able to target someone's spirit, which in Final Fantasy is in the Lifestream, and just completely remove it and negate it.
I'm just bemused by the fact that Kefka doesn't want to be faster. Why the haste immunity?
He does not.
He has a different spell that allows him to basically stop time. It's like so he doesn't need haste.
Yeah.
Can Sephiroth stop time?
Well, the Lifestream, there is no time. It transcends all time, so like he would not care.
Isn't it only like past and present, not future?
Let me look.
Someone was asking if their second forms mean or do anything.
Safer versus God, Kefka.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says in the Lifestream, the passing of time is meaning and arbitrary. So, like, it technically isn't the future, but, like, he should be immune to most time hacks because there just is no time passing there.
So you're arguing immeasurable. You're arguing transcendent speed, trans-time velocity for Sephiroth.
I'm arguing that his true form exists in a higher dimension that Kefka cannot affect at all.
So what happens if Kefka just blows up the planet?
Well, Sephiroth can just send an avatar and keep fighting him in space.
So does the live stream still exist if Kefka blows up the planet?
Yeah, because it's not. It was protecting the planet in 7, but it exists everywhere in like the entire multiverse.
It seems like Sephiroth is very hard to kill.
Yeah,
Well,
he is virtually impossible to kill. That's my main argument.
If that's the truth, then this is not an argument against Sephiroth's strength, but that honestly creates a really big plot hole for Final Fantasy VII. Because like, if that's the truth, and the live stream is multiversal, and it's essentially kind of never runs out, then why were people belly aching over the Mako reactors? Why was Avalanche belly aching?
It's literally renewable energy.
Yeah,
like that should be literal infinite energy. Can you imagine?
Imagine being so energy inefficient that your light bulb can eventually run out infinity.
Yeah,
I'm almost impressed that they managed to make a reactor that could tap out infinity.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that if something mundane could tap out the live stream, then I feel like that's a point in Kefka's favor.
It's about how the greed of corporations is truly unending and it never stops.
The greed of corporations is multiversal.
Multiversal greed.
Switch to safer energy sources like oil.
Does Kefka have capitalism scaling?
I was a general for an empire who murdered
wow,
empires,
that out of context quote.
This is how he wins. He starts lobbying.
We do know that Kefka is not a monarchist. He definitely takes them out.
Damn.
So, yeah.
He's an anarchist. Absolutely.
Kefka's for the people.
Nihilist.
So I have a question.
He did establish. Well, he didn't establish the cult of Kefka. The cult of Kefka just kind of arose, and he just lets them live as long as they protect his treasures.
Fair enough. Good deal.
Good deal.
So I got one last kind of question when it comes to Sephiroth. The remakes. What's going on there?
A lot of
it's consistent with what he said. It's honestly consistent with what he's been saying.
Yeah, a lot of the whole like live stream representing like different timelines and stuff, because that's what the remake is ultimately. It's a different timeline where it goes like slightly differently.
Yeah, it's the remake really does lean into the whole like multiversal thing. It's because basically it's the spirits are
the whispers are going back and like altering the timeline, and that's why the remake is different than the original game.
Yeah, it's I mean, when I first saw it, I always thought it was like the spirits of the fandom trying to keep things on track and starting to stop Nomura from changing the plot.
Yeah.
Very, very wild meta-analysis there, but yeah.
I remember that being meta thing for that. Yeah, no, because I was like thinking to myself, because admittedly from like going through the first game, my thought process was, oh, so this is where Sephiroth wouldn't have to abduct children back in time, apparently.
Alright.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a question. Because, okay, so we kind of went over how these macro generators can cipher stuff out of the live stream. And we know that Kefka could drain the power from these statues, but I don't think we've gone into, like, the exact process of how Kefka drained these statues. Like, could you go a bit more into, like, how he did that? I'm just trying to see if there's, like, any correlation we can get from that could help diffuse whether he could absorb the live stream or not.
I am sorry, but I got bupkis.
He just kind of does it.
Yeah, there's literal. It's literally a time. It's literally just a time skip, and literally the only thing I have for you is that screenshot of Kefka Power 3. That's the only thing I have for you.
Just a really
on that
vague
front.
power drain.
Yeah, it is legitimately just off It's like they killed the last of the warring triad. It's like, something more should have happened with that. And then you get that text box.
Yeah, it's literally like, oh, the plan didn't work.
Yeah. It's just like the thing is, it's like they thought the warring triad still had all the magic. So they're like, okay, if we actually kill the warring triad, then Kefka will lose its power and everything will go back to normal. They do that. Didn't work. Shoot. So the only thing that makes sense is that Kefka drained all their magic.
Okay, so it's not even like we know how he did it. This is just kind of an assumption they made to justify, like, this didn't work, this is the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah, it really is. It's just like it's the only thing that makes sense.
I guess Kefka can just do that.
Just power drain, yeah.
Yeah, it's it's kind of the hand wave thing in order to, get to the final battle with Kefka, which is peak. It's just like that's one thing. That's one great thing about Sephiroth and Kefka. It's like both their final battles are so peak.
For real, it's so good.
Yeah, we can agree on that.
Do we want to move on to final arguments, I guess? So, like, Fennec, like, is there anything else you want to add on to why you think Sephiroth wins? Like, what's your... Like, I kind of think I'll put up the poll, because it kind of seems like we're winding down.
Yeah.
So, Fennec, what's your final argument for why Sephiroth wins?
My final argument is that they should be similar-ish in stats. Like, regardless, they both have uni to multi stuff in their own games, but I really think the Gilgamesh chain scaling is fine. That would put them at, like, even stats anyways. The big thing is that Sephiroth's immortality is just something Kefka has no answer to. Even though Kefka is incredibly powerful and could drain all magic, the Lifestream is just so much more than he's ever dealt with. It's a higher dimensional space that he has no access to. I think it's kind of a no limit fallacy to be like, yeah, he just figure out how it works mid-fight. And Sephiroth can just exist he can just outlast with his very broken, the regeneration that the Genova cells provide, and the fact that he exists as long as the memory of him exists, which, there's just no win con for Kefka here. You have to assume that, one, he'd be able to get around, his broken regeneration. 2, he'd have to kill every single person who remembers him. And 3, he'd have to access the Lifestream in the first place, which is just, higher dimensional than what he's ever access to. And because of that, I just don't think he has a win con. Sephiroth just eventually outlasts him and wins.
All right, Josh, what's your final say? What's your final argument for Kefka?
Well, I really wish my argument was better than I disagree, but
you're wrong, Fennec.
Basically, I do think Kefka has the ability to access the Lifestream, because if Sephiroth could do it just by being an enhanced human, or or I know I'm grossly oversimplifying there, but if Sephiroth could access the Lifestream just by being what he is, on the level that he was, I don't see a reason that Kefka couldn't also figure it out. Like, if Shinra could figure it out, I feel like Kefka could figure it out, because Kefka is intelligent. It's not the first time that he has bamboozled people in power. It's not the first time he figured something out that no one else did and enabled him to achieve ultimate power. He's achieved ultimate power once, and sure, you have an argument that the Lifestream is a higher dimensional power, but given the state that Kefka would be at when the fight starts, I don't see a good reason why Kefka wouldn't be able to figure it out, given the power level he currently is at. I don't think it's as inaccessible as you make it out to be. And the thing is, I also feel like Kefka has a much wider arsenal in terms of, being the source of all magic. He has access to many different spells that it's like Kefka has hacks all on his own, because he has access to literally every spell in Final Fantasy VI. And there was a third point I was gonna make, but then I lost it.
Fooey.
But which is the better game?
Don't do that.
No. Riddle, why would you? No.
Riddles is trying to make the world burn.
We almost got through the entire cast without dipping into that debate.
Listen, I'm just saying Final Fantasy 3.
What?
Wait, American or Japanese? American or Japanese?
Thank you, Josh.
We're gonna rank them by the translation.
That's like my least favorite Final Fantasy. 3?
That's Final Fantasy 6, you fool.
American or Japanese.
God damn it! You opened Pandora's box.
All right.
But no.
And the thing, and
Final
the last
Fantasy
thing
3.
is that with Kefka is like, darn it left me again. It's just I feel like Kefka has the stats and immunities and hacks and as well the power, intelligence, and oh yeah, here's what I was going to say. Kefka is fully capable of genocide. It's like, hey, he might not. Kefka has fought people who have outmatched him before, and he has been able to escape and figure out how to get around it. It's like, and I know the big linchpin was Cloud, but it's just like, let's be honest, Cloud is pretty easy to outwit.
Sephiroth does like to just kind of explain what his deal is and what he's got going on.
Oh yeah,
it's not just like tricking Cloud. It's you'd have to kill him.
Tricking Cloud. Well, that would be a part of it.
And then
I like to imagine that it's just he deals with Cloud in a Wile E. Coyote skit.
And then ignore the fact that Cloud also has the Lifestream access, so he has his soul in the Lifestream too. So
What's that line Sephiroth has? He's like, "I'll never be just a memory" or something.
Yeah, I'll never be. Yeah, just a memory, which is a reference to his immortality, where
Kefka will hear that and then test that theory by erasing everyone on the planet.
Kefka will hear Sephiroth say that and be like, this guy is obviously connected to this interdimensional life, through the memories of every single being in this world. And that is definitely the conclusion you will come to, don't...
Wait a minute, I just thought of something.
Uh-oh.
What?
Does Kefka have a way of wiping his own memory? Because couldn't Sephiroth...
I didn't even bring up the fact, if Kefka... I didn't even bring up the fact that, like, if Kefka sees him, he's gonna remember him too.
But isn't that if Kefka have to be connected to the live stream for that?
Well, it's his memory. All memories in the world are connected to the live stream. So like.
But then by that logic, Kefka would be connected to the live stream.
There are some things that aren't connected to the live stream. Like they're like those they're like it starts with like a G, but they're like ghosts in Cosmic Canyon or whatever that can't rejoin the live stream or whatever because they're aliens or something.
I think there's a difference between like, the live stream is the source of all things existing, but it's also this higher dimension that like exists. So like, it's like all humans have like memories and like source from the live stream, but they're not like able to access the realm in any way.
But not literally everything is connected to the live stream. There are exceptions.
There's a few exceptions, but like the big thing here is memories, because that's what Sephiroth's mortality is going off.
Yeah, I feel like if the live stream was connected through all things, especially through all things in the Final Fantasy universe, I feel like Dissidia would have mentioned that.
Yeah, I'd even get into Dissidia, because that's like a whole other thing.
Dissidia in this debate is a fancy way to draw a circle.
Yeah.
I guess we should get into our verdicts at this point. Just going left to right. Kino, what are you thinking?
I knew you were going to start with me. I don't know right now. I came into this thinking that it was going to be a clean sweep for Sephiroth, just because I had kind of always put Kefka at like planetary. Because I never thought about the fact about the Warring Triads, like, and the creation of the the world in which you play it in. So learning, like, kind of, I'm now kind of reconsidering where I scale Kefka, which has made this so much harder because I do think Fennec brings up some really good points.
Sorry. I was just having fun here.
Because I was coming into this thinking it would be like, not really sure what Josh can say that's going to change my mind. But I gotta give it to you, Josh. You did a good job.
Thank you. This is my first time.
I'm just thinking, if we're giving Kefka that, I kind of have to give Sephiroth the higher dimensional stuff as well to keep it balanced. In which case, I don't know if Kefka can actually damage, like, beyond the Avatar. So I'm gonna give it to Sephiroth.
I think it seems like their power might be relative. If it seems to me that Kefka has the tools needed to put Sephiroth down for good. The issue is, I think it would take time for Kefka to put those pieces together. Like, he is a schemer, and if Sephiroth and Kefka existed in the same world, I could totally see a scenario where Kefka puts all the pieces together, gets some Lifestream energy, figures it out, and erases Sephiroth from existence. I just don't think there's a good argument for Kefka doing that in the time of one fight. Because even if Kefka's like 5 times stronger, I think Sephiroth just swinging at him and attacking him, he does have the ability to just kill Kefka. So even though there's the possibility space and he has win conditions, I think there's too many steps for Kefka, whereas Sephiroth is just a lot more straightforward in his win. So I also have to vote for Sephiroth. Zoro?
Alright, so I just want to say off the bat, this is such a very debatable matchup that you could honestly go either way with just their hacks and just the complexities of how you interpret the magic system.
That's what makes this debate so fun.
It is. And yes, Kefka does have a lot of steps to get through Sephiroth. However, I think the main things for me is that A, if mundane people could figure out how to drain the Lifestream with Mako reactors, then someone like Kefka would be able to, I'm convinced that he would be able to do something similar. And the fact that he's made up of like 3 of these universe things, it would make me assume that he's also somewhat on the scale of like the Lifestream, if not above it. So I don't think it's too much out of the possibilities. So, and then finally, one of Kefka's immunities I saw was meteor strikes, and that's like Sephiroth. You know what?
Yeah.
Sephiroth doesn't really have a way to kill Kefka either, so I'm giving Kefka the win.
You can't argue with logic like that. That's just
Wow.
Yeah, like
that's right on the.
Sephiroth's dropping meteors, and one of his immunities is meteor strike. Like what? What's Sephiroth gonna do? Stab him with a sword?
What is this rock paper scissors win con?
I think I will say, if I remember in Final Fantasy VI, isn't meteor strike like a martial art?
Oh, is it? I haven't played the games.
It's too late. He's put in his vote.
Yeah, I casted my vote. I'm sticking to the bit.
All right.
Okay, so meteor strike, or as it's more commonly known around here, suplex.
I thought so.
Well, I feel stupid, but I'm also committing to the bit.
There's no way you could have known that.
Yeah, that one guy suplexed
the train.
It's like, yeah, he suplexed a ghost train.
And that was like real early game too.
And suplexed it. I don't know. Does that qualify as higher dimensional theory?
It counts as really cool.
Higher dimensional theory to be able to suplex a ghost.
And as we all know, Kefka goes above level 10 Sabin, so therefore he's actually 6th dimensional. Checkmate.
Checkmate.
Oh, you guys are gonna kill me.
What happens when Kefka just suplexes the ghost of Sephiroth? What's he gonna do to that? Huh?
Just if Kefka could win this by just performing wrestling moves on Sephiroth's ghosts, I would love this match.
I wouldn't put
Maybe
past
I'm
Kefka to
magic,
just
but I'm
like
not out of options. Cracks knuckles.
the most unorthodox tactics.
Hit them really hard.
All right, Riddles, what do you think?
Until he dies.
Okay, then. So, Josh, I have to applaud you for this, because I thought that this matchup was basically, well, this is a fancy way to wipe Kefka off the face of the planet. But you've shown that there's a lot more complex stuff to go on for this, so thank you for showing me that.
Oh yeah, there's going to be a little bit of that in Starfire versus Blaze, so be ready, because these characters are very different than, it's like once you actually dive into the nitty gritty, it's wow.
Now, Riddles, I don't want to sway your vote, but you have the opportunity to do the funniest thing, because the chat poll was a tie.
I am the one with all the power, so you must listen to my...
You could either confirm this as a Sephiroth win, or it would just be a tie, I guess.
Damn,
Okay.
we've been worried about Kefka and Sephiroth scaling. We should have been worried about Riddle scaling.
Oh, this.
The battle royale now.
It's funny because when I actually had this debate with Ossiroth, we actually both came to the same conclusion. With that Kefka and Sephiroth, it would be a tie. They'd actually just blow each other up.
Okay, now to go on with with my convictions for this. So right now, this is just kind of the mood. At this point, the leaning thing is the fact of, I do believe Kefka can put down Sephiroth, but he needs to go through a lot of hoops in the meantime to do that. Mm-hmm. Like, I do not think that it's like he will be able to immediately just zone in of, it's like, okay, I need to do these things in order to win. I think at minimum he needs to like kill Sephiroth once and see him come back. And it's like, okay, what's happening there? And the issue is Sephiroth just needs to stab Kefka really hard. and his win condition is a lot more simpler when put that way. So I do have to lean Sephiroth.
Ah, phooey.
Damn.
Honor takes the win over the funny today. All right.
Hey. Integrity is good. Don't lose that.
Integrity is good. Integrity is good. That's less funny, but it is good. Well, I guess it is ironic that the Kefka, the funny did not save him, which is, I guess, thematically appropriate.
That's not funny.
Let this be a lesson. Don't joke around.
So
yeah,
this is
that one's always been weird for me. That's the one thing that in Final Fantasy VI that I just really wanted explained, but was just never explained. Just like, how did Kefka lose? If he's the god of all magic, if he is this higher dimension, if he can create four universes, he has access to all this magic. How did he lose? I have no freaking idea.
The power of this friendship and this Ultima spell that we found.
But Kefka has Ultima too.
Yeah, he has it because he knows it's really good.
Well, if Kefka has Ultima 2, then the party
knows the meta.
Ultima 3.
I guess it's just like Dragon Ball rules where they can just train and get really strong.
I mean, it's the mood of, like, with RPG stuff goes on through. Like, I've had my reservations with, like, Xenoblade scaling and how that goes, where it is, like, it's like, okay, so how many of these characters do you actually believe, about 100% in story, can fight this god?
I mean,
And you have to understand that one of those characters, that no matter what you have to say, you still need to say that Riki is on par with God.
Yeah, this is just the nature of RPGs in general. Just, why are these, like, randos able to fight gods? It's always just
Yeah.
Like, 3 of them will be justified, and the other 3 are just story-wise, and therefore emotional support. But watch the guy with the gun.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like you can always make an argument for some characters, like Cloud being able to defeat Sephiroth. Okay, there's actually some lore tied into that. That's fine. Or like heck, Terra. It's like less of an argument, but it's still there. It's like you can make an argument for Terra, Celis. But yeah, it's just it really is weird trying to figure out what these guys are actually capable of when the games themselves are just so vague.
Yeah, it's definitely left open to interpretation.
I am still so confused on Final Fantasy lore, man.
I think
we always try to
be more confused than certain on this matchup.
Yeah, that is.
Well,
Anyway,
I will take one victory here today. Is that one? It's like I was able to convince the chat that it was a tie, and I was able to convince most of the people here that it wasn't as much of a stomp as you might think.
Yeah, Kefka's got options. He's definitely got options.
You gave me a tough fight here.
Yeah.
At the end of these casts, we always try to discuss the merits of the matchup a little bit beyond just the debate. And I think this matchup has always been really cool to me as an option just because I have, as soon as I played Final Fantasy VI, I understood the kind of series villain rivalry, so even though I've only been a part of that for like 5 years, that's still like, I guess more than 5 years at this point, close to 10, age. It is cool to have that like rivalry, and I think it would be really cool to represent that in a death battle. Yeah,
it's some people in the chat have been talking about the DB cast for Kefka. It's then that was one of the I did listen to that really early on to look at potential matchups for Kefka, and it's just like when when Ben tried to argue for Kefka being for the Esper world being a higher dimensional, I'm like, I don't know about that one, Chief.
You gotta say something when you're up against Mixius Pitalik empowered Joker.
I know you gotta say something, but at the same time, it's just like, it's always. I could have argued that here, but I couldn't in good conscience argue it.
I feel that.
I had some higher dimensional arguments I could have brought up too, but ultimately I was like, they're going to be equal stats no matter what I do. So like, I didn't really think it was that big of a deal.
You got hit with the biggest curveball at the beginning of this.
Kefka is multiversal, and every one of you was like, what?
Yeah, let's get something straight.
Hold up.
This matchup is like, this matchup has definitely gone up in interest for me. After this debate. It's still not my number one for Kefka, but definitely gone up.
I think one of the really cool things about this fight, and one of the reasons I think this is actually my favorite for Kefka now, besides just the legacy, is I think one of the most important parts of a really cool Kefka animation would be like the dialogue potential. And like Sephiroth is like the perfect like banter like back and forth for Kefka because he's so self-serious all the time. That's like someone perfect for Kefka to play off of. That'd be Sephiroth keeps doing these melodramatic one-liners, and Kefka's just like oh, the drama.
He probably dropped like that line that Daybreaker did in MLP. It's just like, ugh, so much black. We get it. You're sad.
That would be so good.
All of this talk just to imply that your father never loved you when you were young.
Okay, usually I'm not a fan of like inter-series death battles, but like now I need to see this episode just for the banter potential alone. Like, I need Kefka to call Sephiroth an edgelord in the most Shakespearean way possible.
I will never be just a memory. Well, you certainly weren't memorable to me.
No, so here's the thing in my head. My stupid thought is anyone played like Shantae Half GD Hero?
Oh, I love that game.
Okay, so it's like I think it's like in the Risky Boots mode for that, where it's like there's that one character who like needs memories in order to keep themselves alive.
I know who you're talking about.
yeah, it's been a while, so I don't know the thing. So it is like, how does Whiskey Boots deal with this? And the answer is just one of her minions just smacks her in the head with a hammer and makes her forget about who she was just fighting. That leads to that. And it is like, and Kefka is absolutely just like hearing it's like, you need to erase your own memories to deal with Sephiroth. And it's like, I mean, I have enough brain damage, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is probably my favorite for both, I think, right now.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, just the connections between the two of them are really surprising. It's like they're both magical. They're both magical experiments.
Yeah,
and they're both magical experiments who worked under like a big sprawling empire and eventually betrayed them. And
yeah,
so like they both have. It's just like they're in the description of this. There's a video called "The Chilling Parallels Between Kefka and Sephiroth." It's fascinating.
Yeah, Josh showed us that like a week ago, and it was just really cool because I never really thought about the connections for the matchup. I just thought about it as like a legacy, but there are genuinely a lot of really interesting parallels between the two that are dope. If you like either character, even if you don't care about the matchup, if you just like the characters, I think that video is worth a watch.
Yeah. One thing I've noticed about a lot of Final Fantasy villains is that there's always some little connections between each big Final Fantasy villain. Like you look at Exdeath, very much it's like the connection between Exdeath and Kefka is the nihilism.
Yeah.
The connection between Kefka and Sephiroth, we just talked about it. There's the connections between Sephiroth and Ultimecia. It's just the whole time, the existing in all time and stuff. Yeah. And like Ultimecia, it's really amazing.
Final Fantasy is an interesting series to go through because on the surface they seem very disconnected, but if you were to go through them from the beginning to modern day, like there are a lot of really interesting just thematic jumps as the series progresses.
Yeah. I've never reviewed a Final Fantasy, and like speaking of which, I wanna give a big shout out to my friend Zach, who he's a massive Final Fantasy fan, and he's the only reason I could do this cast. He helped me like get all the research for Sephiroth and like all the scans together, and like helped me be able to kind of debate for this character history I'm not super familiar with. So yeah, thanks to my friend for that.
Final Fantasy Villain Battle Royale, all 16 of them? That's a very big roster for a death battle.
We should have had that cast. I had like 20 people involved.
Oh god.
Yeah, there's just 30 of us.
I volunteer for Emmett Silk.
Dude, right. I could barely figure out how to. It's like I actually wrote a fan battle where it was like it was a Team Fortress 2 battle royale.
Oh man, yeah, we've talked about doing that, but even 9's a lot to work with.
Yeah, it's just like that's like also. Yeah. So it was basically kind of a toss up between the Scout and the Pyro who wins.
Oh really?
Interesting.
Yeah.
I could see Pyro just because of burning everything. You're basically putting everyone on a timer.
Honestly, I thought Sniper took it.
I would have guessed the Spy.
Pyro counters Spy, so.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true.
Well, I just want to say, like, if I had to figure out, like, debating the intricacies of Kefka and Sephiroth was so mind-numbing, I couldn't imagine doing that, but with 14 other villains.
Times 8.
Oof. My favorite part about that will just be okay, so let's see who gets washed first, so we can hopefully have this done at a decent time. Because I don't want to explain Asian physiology.
I mean, I would watch that like ranking video, but I wouldn't watch that death battle. That death battle would be 2 hours long.
Death battle will be 2 hours long. Most of the animation is just them yapping at each other.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy scaling iceberg.
With all that said, everyone, thanks for watching. This has been a great cast. Hey, is this your favorite matchup? Let us know in the comments. Do you have a preference for Sephiroth? Do you have someone else you want Kefka to fight? Let us know. I'd love to hear about that. Real special thanks to Josh. This was such a cool opportunity to have you. And yeah, watch Josh's new show. It's going to be super dope. And we'll see you next